And we are live. I was going to go live a second ago to see some planes coming in overhead, but I missed it. And by we, I mean me. So, what I was going to demonstrate was how fast I can take an overheating car, although this car isn't technically overheating, but how quickly I can remove air pressure from a system in a car with blown head gasket. Now, I've just driven 40 minutes with a blown head gasket. I started off with no air in the system at all. Still running nice and cool, actually, 176. I've got no thermostat in, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. Sometimes I'll pull into a quick trip or something, but so it'll be theoretically a little quieter. I'm just going to pull into a random parking lot here. And now you kind of want it at an angle. Specifically, I want my right passenger side a little higher than the other. So I'm going to kill the motor. It's only I'm going to double tap so that it doesn't show ready, but it's still, I drove here with the heater on high, by the way. It's 106 degrees out. So who needs air conditioning? Well, I guess it would be helpful if I pop the hood. I wouldn't kill to lower the windows as well. All right. Now, I already do not have any of the fasteners in this little bit of plastic, so that gets out of the way. This reservoir is already drained, and anything under, for sure under 200 degrees, I've got one of these lever caps, and it's going to, all that is pressure built up because of compression that leaked past the head gasket. So what we're looking to do is to get all of that pressure out of there. While that's happening, we're going to reach under the back seat. Where I have my spill-proof funnel. And what we're going to do, so I don't lose anything, I've got it all rubber banded cleverly together. So, I'm going to just do this. Alright, so, should be able to remove this. And as you can see, it doesn't look like it's lost any coolant at all. And what the coolant, and it didn't lose any coolant during the drive. It pushed some coolant into there, and you'll see the amount in a little bit. But we're going to use a spill-proof funnel adapter. That's a little warm. I saved time by having my sleeves pre-rolled up. All right. So what we're going to do is, by the way, don't ever do this. Store red coolant in a Gatorade bottle. Somebody could drink it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this in. And we are going to get all of the air bubbles out by filling that back up. So, I've shown this before, but what we're going to do, I've got my foot on the floor, and we're going to double tap the power button. 1, 2. Then we're going to reach down there and double tap the accelerator. Put your foot on the brake so that you can put it in neutral. Double tap the accelerator. Put it in park. Double tap the accelerator. And you'll see that it says problem. When you hit the, keeping your foot on the brake now, you didn't have your foot on the brake the first time you hit the power button twice. Now you're just going to hit the power button once. And here you go. When you see that, all that is it's in test mode. So what it's doing is it's keeping the car running. And the reason I want it running is because I want that water pump circulating. Now normally, let's see how many degrees we got here. Let's see how many degrees. come on, I can't. 169 degrees. So theoretically, let me see if it'll let me switch cameras. It does. All right, so theoretically, this engine should not be circulating coolant because the thermostat doesn't open until 180, maybe 185 degrees. But what I've done is I have cut a couple of clips inside the thermostat, so the thermostat's just a hole and it just runs full time because I want circulation all the time. Now you can see that little bit that I put in there is already gone. So the way we get the rest of it is, well, the simplest thing to do is just going to be to put some distilled water in the interest of time. Every once, I know that I have my proportions right, maybe a little rich on the coolant right now, but you don't want to run straight water because water boils at 212, coolant at as high as 268 degrees. So we are going to put some in there. Let's flip this thing around again so we can see what I'm doing. All right, so we're just going to put some in there, and what we're looking for is to stop the bubbles. Well, that's an interesting question. Do I eat farts? I don't know. I occasionally inhale them. My own if I have to. Other people when I'm unaware, but not on purpose. But if you're into that, cool. No kink shaming here. All right, so right here is the upper radiator hose. What I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze that a few times because what we're trying to do is to burp any air out of the system. When it stops having any air out of the system, you know that it's nothing but coolant. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run around here and I'm going to just go ahead and turn it off. We're going to assume that that's good enough. Since it has a little bit of coolant in that, we're going to dispose of it in an environmentally friendly manner, of course. All right, so so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this back on. Now I'll show you how I collect all of the coolant that I pushed into that reservoir. What we're doing here is we put this, that's why I keep this little bottle, because it's perfect. All right, so this is when this blows off, because it gets above 16 pounds per square inch, it blows coolant through the bottom of this reservoir into here. That's what I did when I lifted this lever, is then at any extra pressure it'll go in. So we're going to use gravity to bleed, so we just put that down in there. Once you get it started, it'll just continue, and what we're looking to do is to completely drain that. That way, the next time I do what I just did, I have a container ready to pour in, which shortens the time before I'm back on the road. I really shouldn't be using this Prius because I theoretically have a better one. And this one, I'm trying to get it to 400,000 miles just for bragging rights, but I really should replace the head gasket. I don't know if you can hear that little buzzing. There's a thermos right here under the driver's side, and it keeps water hot, and it's always looking for hotter water to put in there, and when it thinks you're about to start the car again, like it thinks right now, it'll take that warm water and put it through the system to try to warm that motor up, because engines operate best within their appropriate operating temperature. Yeah, I don't think they said Hellcat motor. I think they said that's a hella fine motor. They really are. I was a motorhead in high school. I was the teacher's assistant for auto shop, and I thought I would hate Priuses, but they run forever. This motor was abused by the previous owner. The previous owner was a orthopedic surgeon, and I only know that. An orthopedic surgeon. I only know that because he left surgery parts in the trunk, some little washers and screws. All right, so we've got it all buttoned back up. I don't know how long all that took. I guess I'll look at it later, see how long this thing's been on, live streamed. You just kind of set that back in place. And more or less away we go. All right, all right. I'm always worried about losing this one part, and of course I've lost the rubber band. Be right back. So I need to not have this be in the way for passengers, so I am hiding it under the driver's seat. But I always forget where I put things. So what we're going to do here, so that way that can't come off, and that keeps that from rattling. This sticks in there. I throw it under the driver's seat, and I go on about business. And you do not want to ingest coolant. It's toxic. So we're going to wash my hands off with some distilled water because I have it handy. It's another reason I usually do this at a quick trip, because then I can wash up a little better, as you Midwesterners would call it. And I don't know how long that was, but we are done. Oh, plane. They're playing, boss. They're playing. They're playing. Twice I've lived in the flight path of airports. I kind of like it. I realize it's not everybody's thing. Absolutely correct. It is a second generation Prius. Let's see. Let me see what I missed. I appreciate the subscribers. I was getting, I was only doing shorts, and YouTube was offering up my stuff to between 5 and 10,000 people. And I was getting between 3 and maybe 7,500 views. My top short got about 18,000 views. But lately, no matter what I put up, if the metrics look really good, it looks like all the ones that took off, and it's on a trajectory going up, 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 up. As soon as YouTube has shown it to about 800 people, it just turns it off. And I end up with 400 or 500 views, typically right at about 450 views. Obviously, they've changed their algorithm and their strategy. So I appreciate the subscription, because that seems to make a difference. And yes, definitely second generation. Hey, Landon, how you doing? Yeah, I wouldn't take more than a shot glass of coolant today either. For a while, this car didn't take more than a shot glass, and it really doesn't consume a lot, but it's pushing coolant out. It's not even pushing coolant out. What it's doing is it's pushing compression into the coolant system, and it's overpressurizing the coolant system. And after a while, it also pushes enough air out of the combustion chamber into the coolant system that you end up with air pockets, and these systems are really sensitive to air pockets, and then it will overheat. There's a couple ways I can handle this. I can just keep driving it till if I'm running this code reader full time, just so I can, because it won't tell you anything. Let me show you this. It's got this nifty little set of graphics, and it'll show you where the engine's. It even shows you the outside temperature. That's not accurate, by the way. I went through a car wash and it kind of messed it up for today. But it won't tell you your engine temperature, and when it does, anything goes wrong, you just get the red triangle of death. You don't even get the red triangle of death, but just a warning sign if you exceed 248 degrees. So I could just drive dumb and happy until I hit 248 degrees, doing nothing but short trips, and then finish that trip and then go ahead and do what I just did. Or every couple passengers, just do what I just did, just kind of burp the system a little bit. But it's kind of silly, because I'm spending about a third of my time doing that and a third of my time actually working. So, like I said, I need to get working on my other Prius. As far as I know, it's a spark plug / coil pack issue. Yes, somebody else is old enough to have watched Fantasy Island. Hey, Sujay, are you? I'm cruising Tempe at the moment. Are you in the area, or I actually have drained my entire radiator, did another treatment, and put it back in, so I'm pretty fresh on that procedure. It worked pretty well too, now that I know where the actual drain plug for the radiator itself is. Alright, so I don't know what happens. I'm pretty sure that if I go away from this screen, it shuts off the live. I think to do live and work at the same time, I'd probably have to do it using 2 different instruments. But we're gonna give it a try. I don't know. I mean, at this point, what I could definitely do it on Uber, because frankly, I don't really care if Uber deplatforms me. I only did well, less than 50 rides in the last 3 months with them because they're cheating a lot. Oh, look at this. I can do filters. I don't think, well, black and white's kind of fun, but yes, that's totally me. Yes. Hi, you've reached cruising in the Prius. Actually, that is kind of appropriate for a Prius drive. Party. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so let me see what happens if it will. See, we're connecting. So apparently, it just considers it a momentary hiccup. Yeah, let's do that, Sunjay. All right, what I'm gonna, at some point I want to film how I actually do this. So let me see here. I'm gonna go over here and, all right. 8mm, well that sounds cool. I actually have some 8mm projectors. Got a couple 8mm cameras and some editing rigs, which I've done nothing with. All right, so right now I am logged in to Lyft. I set a 5-mile radius. I dropped a pin basically at the Phoenix Zoo, so it can't send me more than 5 miles from that pin. The object being, I don't want to be on a long trip and overheating. I don't want to leave a passenger stranded. So now we need to turn the heater off, because I'm guessing most passengers aren't going to want the heat on at 106 degrees. So we're going to drop this all the way down to low. And we're going to see what happens. All right, let's see what happens when I... All right, it definitely can give me one while I'm on. All right, so... And it's probably about 1 mile long. So that's what I'm doing for a little bit. What I did find is, since it shut all of my apps down, including this, it did not save this live session. So I'm trying to learn how this works. So what I did was I went back into live, and it asked, do you want to resume your last session, which I did. You can tell the other person got off their brake lights when my face lost my red angry glow. So anyway, I restarted it mostly so that I could then save it. So what we're going to do is we're going to save that live session so I can watch it. I don't know, there ought to be a way to export that, edit it. I think there are, but I don't know. So that's what we're going to do. Do you want to stop streaming? Why, yes I do.